Well, it's Tuesday Wrestling, and you know what that means. So today we're just going to be doing two reviews. The first one is NWA Powerrr, featuring some interesting matches. As you know, tag team partners known as Magna Masso face off each other, and this time is for the NWA World Television title. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. We have a street fight mixed tag team match between Looks That Kill, consisting of Brian Idol and Natalia Markova, taking on the real power couple, as they call themselves, Camille and Tom Latimer. And of course, we have the miserably faithful take on the Southern Six. Then we move on to NXT. As you know, we get closer and closer to New Year's Eve. A lot of things could happen until then, but we will find out what's going to happen. And then, of course, we have our biggest news updates ever. Not only that, we'll be talking about upcoming events from various promotions, such as what events they're throwing out, who's been booked, whose matches are set, any signed wrestlers, and of course, in other developments that have been going on as well. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, factions, promotions, storylines, whatever we want. And if I'm unable to put any news updates on this particular episode that I was unable to put, I can put it on a separate video so everybody can keep up what's been going on as well. We also do real-time news updates, what's been going on, and the Unagi Sayaka Watch, and other cool stuff as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or leave us a nice comment down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review with NWA Powerrr. Now, as you know, we're drawing closer and closer to the end of the year. Excuse me. So it opened up with the NWA World Television title on the line. Draper versus Mims. Now, as you know, these two guys are tag team partner known as Magna Muscle. They have been a very strong, capable tag team. However, Nims made the decision to put his newly crowned title on the line against his tag partner. So they're willing to put their differences aside in order to prove who can walk away with the win. I have to say there was no hold back. But however, in this match, there was something that was strange. There was still like maybe few seconds left in the entirety. Now remember, the match goes on into a 6 minutes, 5 seconds time limit. So barely the last few seconds, Mims just stayed outside the ring. I don't know what was going on in his head, and Draper was like, "What the hell, man?" I don't know what was going on in Nims's mind. I'm not sure if he was not satisfied or whatever it is. But I'm sure this is not exactly what Draper wants. I don't know what Mims is thinking, but I'm sure this will go back at some point. Now, keep in mind, Mims has to only win 7 matches if he wants to get a shot of the NWA World Heavyweight title. Now, we do see a bit of a interview with Kyle Davis, with Aaron Stevens and Blunt Force Trauma. Now they're being targeted by the Fixers. Now, as you know, Aaron Stevens, who ensured that his ways that Blunt Force Traumas remain as the top tag team in the NWA, as you know, him getting involved. He already proven by decimating both Knox and Murdoch after what for the time they've been trying to get their hands on those titles. Now they believe the fixers are going to do. So they're asking, what are they going to fix? Well, fixers rule. That's their motto. But we'll see. Now, these two teams, they have faced each other. These two are power couple teams. We have the Looks That Kill, consistent of um, Brian Idol and Natalia Markova, known as Looks to Kill. They take on Tom Latimer and Camille. Now, the last time these two teams faced off each other, apparently this was resulted where Camille kicked a low blow right into Brian Idol's gonads and apparently won the match. But now it's a street fight, so basically anything could go. So there was a moment where, of course, Tom Latimer was about to take out Natalia Markova outside the ring, but luckily Brian Idol was able to divert that. But they were able to take the matter back in the ring, but Camille accidentally misfired and took out Tom Latimer, giving time for Camille to pick up the win by a double arm DDT. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And this is the best part. Natalia Markova finally took out Camille. Now, she had targeted her in the past when she was the NWA Women's Champion. But women's or championship or not, she got the win. So that's all that matters to her. Now, our next interview before the next match, we have the Southern Six. As you know, they are like proving once and for all why they are the top team in the NWA, that they are the ones who rule the NWA. However, they were interrupted by the arrival of the Misery Faithful, telling them they're nothing more than hillbilly hacks in the state of Florida. So this matter took into the ring, all this and that. You probably would have seen a big of a monster clash between Thrillbilly and Judas. However, Gags Against had this match won as possible, but unfortunately he ended up on the wrong side of the thrill ride and then pinned by Kerry Morton to give them the win. I'm not sure what Sinister Minister is thinking, knowing that they lost this match. I'm sure he's not happy that of course Sal and Gibbs are Gags are back, but cost the match. We'll see what happens the following week or the weeks to come. And I think that's pretty much it with NWA. So let's move on with NXT. Okay, NXT. It opened up with the match between Tiffany Stratton and Fallon Henley. Now, these two ladies have been going back and forth for many times. Now, Tiffany Stratton accuses of Fallon Henley, saying that she will never be her. Now, we know that Fallon Henley had issues towards her, but the match was pretty good, I have to say. However, in this situation, it was Fallon Henley who picked up a beautiful win against Tiffany. But however, Tiffany could not let this go, so she decided to finally snapped and attacked Fallon Henley, took her to the backstage and dumped a lot of garbage right in her face. Now later on we did see Fallon how pissed she was towards what the situation laid. But Tiffany Strand said that she will take her on in New Year's Eve, saying that she's nothing but pure trash, and then once she beats her, she will make her servant because that's what her life should be, a servant. But I know for a fact that Fallon Henley is not going to let that happen one way or the other, but we will see what happens in New Year's Evil. Now, as you know what happened with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams last week, that's when things are becoming more stressed, a bit more calmer. Now, Trick knows that this whole thing was out of control and out of proportion. Now, Carmelo Hayes said that recently the reason he was accusing Ilya Dragunov of him being the one that attacked them was he said he's been hit hard, and there was only one logical person that could do that. Now, Vic did say it. I mean, there's no denying that Ilya Dragunov can hit hard, but of course, there's that. Um, Not to mention, Carmelo has even tried to put himself in a three-way match in New Year's Evil. So basically, it was like that the whole time. Now, speaking of for New Year's Eve, Ilya Dragunov comes out as a promo, speak about what happened last week, until he was unexpectedly surprised by Rich Holland. And basically, Rich Holland came back to, how do I say, reinvent himself. So he decided to put himself in a match against Dragunov for the title. However, later on, we did see Trick Williams, who was not happy with the idea. But of course, Dragunov tried to reason with him that he's the champion, that he has to do this no matter what because he's being called into question as a champion time and time again. So Trick Williams understand that, but he's not too keen on the idea of him doing that. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match is still in the first round of the men's uh, breakout tournament. We have Dion Lennox, who's the new guy, versus Lexis King. Now, keep in mind, Lexis King attacked Trey Bearhill because he wanted a spot in the breakout tournament because he's determined to win the whole thing, then win the contract for a shot of the NXT title. That's his aim. But however, it was, of course, King who picked up the win. And then all of a sudden, here comes Trey Bearhill, who hasn't forgotten that he got screwed out of this tournament. But Lexis Hill is determined. It's like, so what? I'm actually going to go to the top. Now, Eddie Thorpe, as you know, has been at a never-ending battle with Dijak. Now, Dijak, who is the self-proclaimed Law, decided to attack him once again. However, this time, Eddie Thorpe decided to put him in an NXT Underground match. If you guys remember, this is the kind of match where, of course, there is no ropes. So even Dragunov decided, even what's his name, Dijak even accepted it, but he thinks that he will walk out as the winner. But we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, our next match, we do see Thea Hale and Jay-Z Jane taking on Izzy Dame and Kiara James. Now, as you know, James and Dame actually got in their faces because, as you know, Thea Hale has her Google little eyes with Riley Osborne. But however, this match kind of went and they decided pick on her for all this and that. However, there was a moment. Thea Hill had this match almost won, but she was unaware she was not the legal person when she put Kiana James in the Kimura lock. It was Dizzy Aim, but all of a sudden she got the big boot on the face on that. So basically, Izzy Dame and Carol James won. Now, speaking of those two, Dame and James, Roxanne Perez hasn't forgotten what they did to her. She says she's not done. But Ariana Grace tried to put out her little things, saying that, wins and losses don't matter. But Roxanne took that as offense. She decided to bitch slap her. That's right, she bitch slapped Ariana James, and she was being all dramatic, like, we seen in television sitcom. So she's like, my face! I'm like, oh my god, that's pretty hilarious. But it was great. But of course, Vic says, I'm not going to touch that subject. Smart man. Now, once again, a lot of things has been going on with Chase U and Chase U. They've been playing a little one of those dices thing. So they decided to put themselves in a match against OTM next week. So Duke is not too keen on this, but once again, that one of Tony D's cousins decided to show up and try to do something about it. But we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match is the NXT North American title. Dragon Lee defends it against members of, let's call them a bootleg catch point. Either Charlie Dempsey, Damon Kemp, Miles Bourne, or Drew Gulak. So the person who drew the lucky straw was Charlie Dempsey. But all of a sudden, here comes Joe Coffey, who decided to enter himself into the conversation. Well, Dragon Lee, being, you can say is the dumbest choice, but it might have been the correct choice. He decided to put himself in a match against both these men. Now, keep in mind, Dragon Lee doesn't need to be pinned in this match. However, he was able to apply a good win when he applied Operation Dragon on Coffey to retain the title. But however, of course, all members of the catch point bootleg decided to attack Dragon Lee. But out of nowhere, we see members of the LWO, Joaquin Wild and Toro Cruz, decided to help him. I mean, I did not expect that coming from them, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon Lee becomes the newest member of LWO. That would be sweet right there, too. Now, the resident mean girl, as you know, came back recently. She decided that she is the savior of NXT, especially the women's division. Decided to put herself in a locker that is being occupied by Carmen Petrovic, and of course saying that she tosses her things. However, Carmen was not happy what Car J did, but Gigi kind of told her there's only one way to deal with someone like her, and that's gonna be an old-fashioned butt whooping. Now, our next match, and this is the last match of the first round of the men's breakout tournament, we have Luca Crucifino taking on uh, Tavion Heights. I have to say, Tavion Heights is one of those wrestlers we definitely got to pick on. I mean, this guy has amazing suplex, but he applied a beautiful belly to belly suplex on Crucifino. He wins his match. So I think this is going to be interesting to see. So I'm sure by this coming Wednesday, we will see the semifinal rounds of the men's breakout tournament. Now, in the backstage, we see later Valkyria talking with Nikita Lyons. Now, of course, Nikita Lyons doesn't know what the hell is going on with Tatum Paxley, saying even like Valkyria doesn't know what's wrong with her. Like she's like obsessed with her. But Nikita told that she'll deal with her, and then later she'll deal with Blair Davenport, and then the title. So basically, she has three goals in mind. Right now, it's Tatum Paxley, Blair Davenport, then the title. So we'll see. But however, Nikita Lyons had to go to the ring to deal with Tatum Paxley. You probably would have said that this is going to be an awesome comeback for her. Well, it did. She pulled off the splits to pick up the win. And I have to say, it's a good comeback. Now, we do see a pretty good, impressive match between Tank Ledger and Hank Walker taking on the Gallows Boys, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. Now, of course, we have seen how Tank Ledger and Walker have been one of the most impressive tag teams. They are determined to prove themselves that they belong in the tag team division. But unfortunately, that did not do any well until Mark Coffey applied a somewhat of a hard insecurity on Hank Walker, picking up the win. Now, we do see our main event featuring the NXT title, Ridge Holland versus Ilya Dragunov. Well, this was a hard-hitting match. I have to say this was a big challenge for Dragunov. Now, Trick Williams was a big concern, but there was a moment where something went wrong. Like, I wasn't too sure what it was, but Dragunov was like in a stance where he couldn't move his arm. Like, something was up. So the referee made the choice to call it off, and then later this match, what it wasn't said wasn't a no contest, but let's say this match was a no contest. That's what happened. So Dragunov was taking on a stretcher. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. But now I don't know if this is an actual injury or this is part of the storyline. We don't know. But we will see what happens after that. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, this is the much biggest one I've ever done so far. Now, let's start with some updates and on what's been going on with over the promotions, like if any new matches have been announced and all this other stuff, new shows. Our first one is coming from the GCWs. As you know, GCW has announced for the holiday special taking place on the 21st. We have Charles Mason and Richard Holiday taking on Cole Radrick and Alec Price. So that's going to be an interesting match to watch. Then, of course, we have the Aftermath show that takes place on the 31st of December. We do have names that will participate in the Do or Die Rumble match. We have Mike Bailey, Alley Catch, and Everett Connors involved. Now, however, the GCW World Title will also be defended in Aftermath. Blake Christian defends his belt against the winner of the Nick Gage Invitational 8 tournament. Now, as you know, we already have some of the events for 2024. On January 12th of 2024, the GCW Ultraviolent title is defended. Rina Yamashita takes on the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch. And then, of course, a little after that, on the 26th of January of 2024, Jacob Fatu will be participating for the Look at You show. And then finally, the coldest winter on the 3rd of February of 2024, Alex Hammerstone makes his presence known. Now, for Wrestling Revolver's updates, for the Mox versus Gringo show taking place on January 24th, Steve Macklin takes on Mance Warner. So we have members of the GC Second Gear crew and um, RED take on. And then, of course, a new show was announced called What a Show that will take place in Dayton, Ohio, in no, in Texas, on the 17th of February for that. However, it was later announced that Leo Rush makes his return. We haven't seen Leo Rush for quite some time, which was kind of interesting. Now, Pro Wrestling Now has announced for events for April for Monday Magic on the 1st of April, 8th of April, the 15th, and the 22nd of April. However, they did announce for another show on the 4th of May, Magic Wrestle Magic. That's a pretty good name, I'm not gonna lie, but it's pretty interesting. Now, MLW has announced for many events on the 6th of January in Philly. We have Good Brother 3, which is the Masked Dude versus Steph Delanders. And in the Kings of the Coliseum, we have the MLW National Openweight title defendant in a Taipei death match between Akira and RSP. Now, if you guys are unfamiliarized with Taipei deathmatch, let me explain it. If you guys ever seen the movie Kickboxer involving Jean-Claude Van Damme, which is a movie I've seen countless times as a kid, there's a moment where, of course, the wrestlers will have to wrap their hands up and then put glue on their knuckles and put glass. So basically, you're playing that kind of kickboxer style, but you have to make the person bleed out, you know, all of that. Now, this is done by professionals. Don't try this at home, kids. So, yes. Moving on. For Prestige Wrestling on the 5th of January in 2024, on Roseanne 7, it was announced that Ray Phoenix was unable to participate in the upcoming show due to an injury. However, he was set to face against Leo Rush, but however, due to that, he is no longer involved. So they announced that Samurai Del Sol, formerly known as Kalisto, will be taking place. So that's going to be interesting. Now, West Coast Pro has announced a few things for the Illmatter show on January 27th in 2024. Vinny Massari will face off against one called Manders. That's going to be a house fight to the max. But they also announced, after many years they haven't teamed together, but they will make an appearance. Straight coming from Japan, Crush Gals will be making their way. Chigusa Nagayo and Lioness Asuka. So that's going to be interesting. If you guys aren't familiarized with these two legends, then you guys are in for a good treat for that. Now, that's pretty much it, what we have for updates in promotions. We now will talk about one particular signee that took place. TNA, as you know, they're going to come back and starting in 2024. They've been signing wrestlers and also re-signing those. However, they announced that Brian Myers has re-signed with TNA, which is awesome. We're going to be seeing some talent remain. Now, for developments that happened, now, as you know, in the last episode, I talked about, in the last episode with the news updates, CJ Perry ended up in the hospital due to an infection. Well, it looks like the surgery was a success. She's going to make it pull through. Thank God that she's okay. Just hope she recovers well and she be healthy as possible. Now, interesting developments in Progress Wrestling in the UK. Now, this was announced that Ricky Knight Jr., Saraya's nephew, he is now the longest Progress Atlas champion. He has held this title for nearly 296 days. And it turns out that he beat the record that Gunther had at the time. Gunther had this belt for almost 274 days. So I have to say that is a good accomplishment right there. Now, Kitsune Women's Wrestling, as you know, made their presence known in October doing a show in LA and then later in Japan. They recently talked about the encounter with Ichika Miyabi. If you guys remember her, Michika is from PPP Tokyo, one of the transgender wrestlers. This is what the Kitsune Women's Wrestling had to say about the encounter. So let me pull it up real quick. Yes, here it is. One of the wonderful people I met during the last trip to Japan was Ichika Miyabi. So excited for her. Once is ready, she'll be part of the Kitsune team. So it appears that Kitsune are really interested in having her in their next show. Now there have been word that they will be doing another show in March. Now that hasn't been confirmed just yet. Once I do know, you guys will be the first to know. Now, Dragon Gate has announced for something things that took place. This was reported in various sources in Japan. Yuki Yoshioka had to relinquish the Twin Gate Championship belt with Dragon Dia due to an injury. So Dragon Dia had no other choice but to relinquish the belts as well. But he did promise that Yuki Yoshioka will return stronger than ever, and they will make another play for the tag titles. However, it appears those tag titles are still in play. We have, of course, members of the Gold Rose, consisting of Ben K and Minoru, will take on Kaito Kiyomiya and Honda from Pro Wrestling Noah. So that's going to be interesting. Now, interesting news coming from Tokyo Sports. The son of the legendary British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith Jr., will be making his return to All Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, it's not the first time he's ever been in All Japan. He's been there before. He has been announced that he'll participate on the 31st of December of this year. So this is going to be interesting. I feel like he's going to end the year with a bang with All Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, still no question what it exactly his involvement, but I'm looking forward to that. Now, Wrestling Observer has reported certain things are taking that's been reported. Here's one. Turns out that TNA have some things up their sleeves. It since they, according to what they're reporting, TNA has money to invest a huge firm that would make available in the market. So the reason is this: they are determined to hire new talent. Now, there's two names that have been announced saying that their the non-compete clause could be ending soon, and those names are Matt Riddle and Dolph Ziggler. Now, we know that those names have been mentioned before. Um, so basically, TNA are considering um, signing new people. Now, I know recently with Dolph Ziggler, the AEW creative team has been considering bringing him in. There hasn't been no word just yet if there's any cases like that, but it's interesting. But wrestling was also one more thing on the Wrestling Observer reports. Rey Mysterio has renewed his contract with WWE, so he'll be staying there for a little while. Now, Matt Cardona had an interview in the Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Now, this is what he said that was that what Wrestling News mentioned. Zack Ryder is dead, and if I ever want to go back to WWE, it would be up to me. It would be as Matt Cardona. So basically, he would rather go back as Matt Cardona, not as Zack Ryder going woo woo woo. So basically, he likes this new character. Now, keep in mind, WWE are not very hectic when it comes to characters, how they developed. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Now, finally, this is a very interesting thing that was announced. A new partnership with Japanese promotion, Kyushu Pro Wrestling in Japan, and they teamed up with Pro Wrestling Society in Korea. Yeah, so basically, yes, there is Pro Wrestling Korea. That's why uh, I always talk about that. Now, I haven't seen much of that. I have seen Kyushu Pro Wrestling before, but Pro Wrestling Society, no, I haven't seen it. So apparently, their partnership will take place in at some point. They mentioned this deal, and this is good. They have wrestlers that will participate from both sides, from both the Japanese and Korean. So I don't know. I had to say it's good. I mean, we don't often see Korean wrestlers. I mean, Jake Lee is, of course, Korean, but he's been living in Japan. So I have to say it's very interesting to see. So I think that's pretty much it for right now. So I think let's just call it a day. Well, hope everybody enjoys this episode. As you know, we have AEW Dynamite coming up, so we'll be doing that. Now, I haven't decided just yet what I'm going to be doing before then, but also stay tuned for my next podcast episode as well. So I will be giving you guys a lowdown what I'll be talking about on a separate part of the next episode. So we'll see what happens. For now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.